What's up, guys? This is Matt Scott with MGS Fishing, and I'm sitting here chilling inside my canoe, just sitting in my boat. Everybody does that, right? But anyway, what I want to show you today is the fastest loop knot in the universe. I know you saw that title and it got your attention. Now I know what you're saying, Matt. You don't know about how fast they tie knots in other universes, and that may be true, but I can't imagine that anyone can tie a knot faster than this. This is a loop knot. Now, I'm going to do it three ways for you, okay? First way, I'm going to do it in real time, real speed. Second way, I'm going to do it blindfolded. And then third way, I'm going to do it in one hand, with one hand behind my back, okay? Then we're going to talk about when you need to use a loop knot, when you don't need to use a loop knot, and the reasons why it's going to help you catch more fish, okay? So first of all, let's do the knot in real time, all right? I got my tag end through the jig head. This is a 100-pound line. You're not going to probably use this that often, but I wanted you to be able to see it, okay? I got my tag in through my jig, all right? You ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. Fastest loop knot in the universe. Now you're like, Matt, how did you do that? All right, well, let's break it down and let's show you in just a second, but I promised you I was gonna do a blindfold, so let's do that now. So I didn't have a blindfold, but I've got the next best thing, which is my wife's yoga pants. Not mine, my wife's yoga pants. So we're gonna make a blindfold out of these yoga pants, which ought to be interesting, and then we're gonna give it a shot. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, I've got my line, I've got my jig head. Hopefully you guys can see this because I can't see anything. 1, 2, 3, go. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Blindfolded. Did it work? Yep, it worked. Got a little bit of tag in to cut, but it worked. All right. Third way. All right, now the moment you've all been waiting for. We're going to do this with one hand. Okay, here's my jig head on my line. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hand, put it behind my back. The key here is to have your tag end with these two fingers, pointer and thumb, and then pinky and that. All right, ready? Watch. 1, 2, 3. Come on, guys. Did you really think I was going to do that with one hand? I'm not that good. All right, so let's walk through how to do this loop knot. All right, and I'm going to put the camera on my chest so you can see it from my point of view, so I can teach you how to tie this loop knot. All right, now I'm going to show you how to tie this knot. I've got the lure right here in my right hand. I've got the line in my left hand. We're going to go ahead and put the line through the lure, just like that, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to have a lot of tag in left. We're going to talk more about tag in just a second. But all I'm going to do is make one loop, and I'm going to do that by passing the line coming from the lure over top of the line going to my rod, okay? It's important that you don't go backwards, okay? You want the line coming from the lure to go over top of the line going to your rod, just like that. Then we'll make a second loop, turn the exact same way, okay? So I've got two little loops here. They're both close to each other, but they're separate. They're independent from each other. Now you're going to take the second loop and put it through the first, not the back way, but from the side facing you. Put the second loop through the first, just like that. Now let's talk about this tag end here, all right? I don't like a lot of tag end left, okay, for two reasons. And people say I'm a little bit weird for this, a little OCD, which I can be sometimes. I don't like having to waste tag in by having to cut it. But secondly, it's a timing issue. If I break off a lure or want to change lures, I want to tie a knot quick and not have to cut a tag in. So as far as you put that tag in through that second loop, that's how much tag in you're going to have left. All right, so I'm not going to put it through that second loop far at all, okay? So just to rehash before I tighten this down, one loop, two loops, pass the second through the first, tag in through the second, and I'm just going to pinch that tag in however long I want that tag in to be. I'm going to pinch it. I'm going to hold the lure the back of my hand, and you're going to pull the main line just like that. And now you have a perfectly tied loop knot. And if you notice, there is really no tag in to have to cut in this scenario. All right. So let's talk about now why you would tie a loop knot and what are some situations why you would not. Real quick, guys, I forgot to mention the name of this knot, at least as I heard it when I first learned it over 20 years ago. It's called the Canoeman knot. I didn't want to not give credit to that, whoever created this knot. I heard it called the Canoeman knot if you want to try to look it up. And then secondly, you might wonder about the strength of the knot, because some people just question how can it be strong. I've been using this knot for over 20 years. I've never had a strength issue whatsoever. I mean, I'm using it from things as small as brim fishing to turning amberjack and snapper and grouper off of rock piles. Never had an issue with the strength of this knot whatsoever. So I hope it gives you guys a lot of luck. All right, to wrap up, let's cover why you would and why you would not tie a loop knot. So in a situation like this where you have a jig head or you have a lure that does not have a split ring. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a split ring. See this lure right here? See that right there on the end, that little split ring? Okay. There's a reason why a manufacturer puts a split ring on a lure. And the reason being is when that split ring is tied to your line, that lure can freely hinge and move within that split ring, giving that lure better action. So especially if you're using a thick leader line, which you might be doing for offshore or even for big snook, like 30, 40-inch snook, you're going to need a 40-pound fluorocarbon leader in a lot of cases. That can really inhibit the action of the lure, so they put a split ring there. Only problem is when you're using a jig head or you're tying a straight hook on, there is no split ring. So how do you prevent your leader from impeding the action of your lure? You do that with a loop knot. So 90% of the time I'm tying a loop knot because most of the lures and hooks and things I'm using do not have a split ring. Now, if you are using a lure that has a split ring, you probably can still use a loop knot, but I don't. First of all, it's not necessary. And secondly, I don't know if I can show you this, but if you look at a split ring close enough, okay, I don't know, there you go, that's a little bit in focus. If you look at a split ring close enough, there is a crack there and there is a space where fishing line can get hung and snagged and even go into and come off, okay? It has happened. If you watch other fishermen's YouTube channels, it's happened to them and their knot is still intact, but it actually just found its way around that split ring and out. So you're better off if the lure has a split ring to tie a solid knot, something like a uni knot. Maybe I'll show you that later. A solid cinched down knot is going to be better with a split ring. But if you don't have one, definitely tie a loop knot. This is a 100-pound leader line, again, that I'm using here so that you guys can see it. Now look at that jig head, how easily it can move. Whether you're using live bait or whether you're using a lure, you're getting a lot better action with a loop knot. And on top of that, it is the fastest knot in the universe.